on satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Tonight, uprooting corruption. President Maithripala Sirisena says that it will take time to eradicate bribery and corruption from the society. Seeking new leadership. The EPRLF says they will contest separately in the upcoming polls. So can you. South Africa says that they will fully support Sri Lanka's reconciliation efforts.
If we can do it, I cannot see why Sri Lanka cannot.
Deadliest earthquake. At least 402 people have died after a 7.3 earthquake struck the border region between Iraq and Iran late yesterday. Who will it be? Sri Lanka cricket to decide on the head coach soon after the Indian tour.
Now that Haturu Singh is also available, we are in a position to discuss with him as well.
Good evening to all of you joining us across Sri Lanka and around the world, and thank you for being here with us tonight. I'm Mahesh Johnny and this is First at 9. Tonight we want to take you straight to Iran, where a massive earthquake has killed many and the death toll could still continue to rise. Now, a powerful earthquake shook the northern border region between Iran and Iraq, killing at least 402 people and injuring over a staggering 6,000. The 7.3 magnitude quake is reported to be the deadliest earthquake so far in 2017. International media reports that rescue teams have been deployed in the area to expedite search operations for dozens trapped under rubble amid fears of a rising death toll.
The earthquake struck the northern part of the border between Iraq and Iran at 9:18 p.m. local time. Its epicenter recorded a depth of 33.9 kilometers. According to the US Geological Survey, the quake hit close to a city in the semi-autonomous Kurdish region of northern Iraq named Halabja, while its tremors were felt as far away as Turkey, Israel as well as Kuwait. A Kurdish TV station captured the moment tremors hit their studio during a news interview yesterday. Western Kermanshah province has sustained the most damage in Iran, while the most extensive damage in Iraq was in the town of Darbandikan. According to international media, the Iranian Seismological Center registered nearly 50 aftershocks after the quake. Power was cut off in several areas in both Iran and Iraq, and fears of aftershocks sent thousands of people in both countries out onto the streets and parks in cold weather. According to the deputy head of Iran's National Disaster Management Organization, Behnam Saidi, local rescue teams as well as those of neighboring countries have been deployed to the affected regions.
In the early daylight hours, 19 helicopters were dispatched to the area for relief operations. Rescue teams from neighboring provinces were also deployed to affected areas.
Meanwhile, yesterday, a second earthquake with a magnitude of 6.9 hit Costa Rica at 8:28 local time. At least one building was evacuated due to apparent damage. However, major injuries have not been recorded as yet.
In local news, President Maithripala Sirisena says that it might take some time to ensure bribery and corruption is uprooted from the society. The head of state made this comment while addressing an event held at the parliamentary complex today.
National Awards ceremony by the Committee on Public Accounts of Parliament was held at the Parliament complex this morning, presided over by President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The Parliament of Sri Lanka have gathered information from 842 state institutions and have categorized their performances under several categories. Accordingly, 81 highly performing state institutions were awarded today. Both the President and Prime Minister addressed the gathering.
President knows what has happened to Sri Lankan Airlines. Planes have been purchased on huge loans. We can't easily settle those. The loan amount is $740 million. I can't even tell you as to which one we should pay during 2018 and 2019. Now we have to pay it. The previous government did not have a proper finance management. However, I would say one thing. We should not pass this loan amount to the next generation, and we should pay the price for what we did. These things cannot be corrected within a month or two. The projects ran by them have both positive and negative effects. I will tell you an example. Funds have been passed to set up a 3-storied building in a school in Polonnaruwa. They built 2 stories and stopped the work. But all allocated money has been taken. I'm still looking for the matter. I don't see any action being taken against this. There are several institutions which are openly known for frauds and corruptions. I suggest you to have a separate event for the state institutes which went to bottom of your marking process. We need them to provide answers as to their status.
Well, it seems the formation of another alliance against the Tamil National Alliance is likely to take place as the leader of the Elam People's Revolutionary Liberation Front, Suresh Premachandran, is no longer prepared to contest under TNA for the upcoming elections. Premachandra's decision was revealed at the Tamil People's Council held in Jaffna yesterday.
We have focused on a different leadership in the past few years. Everyone has now understood that it is necessary. Ilanke Tamil Arasu Katchi have not fulfilled the needs of the Tamil people. The people even refused to admit that they voted for them. Now we are not talking about uniting North and East. They have forgotten federalism. Therefore, we need a new party to fulfill the demands of the Tamil people. We are creating a new party for the upcoming elections.
Following yesterday's special committee meeting of the Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi, parliamentarian M.A. Sumandiran responded to journalists regarding Premachandran's decision to break away from the TNA.
ඒ වගේ දැනුම් දීමක් ආවට පස්සේ තමයි අපි ඒක ගැන තීරණය ගන්න.
Meanwhile, speaking to media, State Minister of Child Affairs Vijay Kala Maheswaran also expressed her views regarding the internal struggle of the Tamil National Alliance.
We do not expect another leader other than our Sambandhan. Some have motives which they need to achieve. Hence, they are trying to create a faction within the party. We will not let that happen.
Minister of Petroleum Resources Development Arjuna Ranatunga says if the government does not implement a proper program soon, the country would face another fuel crisis in the near future. The minister made this remark speaking to media following religious observances at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy yesterday.
If another 2 or 3 oil shipments are delayed, we will have to face this issue once again. We learn a good lesson from this. I know that the country does not have money for massive projects. However, we need to find an investor in order to establish an oil refinery to resolve this crisis. The Indian corporation requested an increase in prices, but we didn't agree as it will be inconvenient for the public during a period like this when the cost of living is high.
Meanwhile, parliamentarian Uday Gammanpilla says that Minister Arjuna Ranatunga should reveal the 2 ministers who are responsible for the recent fuel crisis.
Minister Arjuna said that 2 former petroleum ministers who are in the government were responsible for the recent fuel crisis. There are 6 former petroleum ministers in this government. Minister Ranatunga must reveal which of them are responsible.
Minister of Health Dr. Rajitha Senaratne says that steps should be taken to ensure all concessions given towards beer and wine be removed prior to Budget 2018 being passed in Parliament. The minister made these comments in Parliament today while taking part in the debate on the second reading of the budget, which got underway for the 3rd day today.
This budget is for the younger generation. Our businesses were destroyed during the 30-year-long conflict. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa finished the war, but he was unable to create enterprises. The Yoho province, which did not face a war, is poorer than the north, which faced the war. Then who has committed serious destruction? Is it the separatist LTT organization or the regimes which rule the country? Minister Mangala Sambaravira presented his budget on the 9th of November. He, however, presented it to the IMF on the 16th of October. The government must reveal its plan on the shares of Hilton Hotel. Won't those be sold? Won't Mattala be sold? The privatization revenue is not shown to us. Foreign investors do not come here, and therefore we have removed our clothes and have become prostitutes. Even if God comes down from heaven, instant solution cannot be given for these issues. Yes, we have lost our way as we have taken massive loans. However, we have to come out of this trap. I can't agree with you on the concession for beer. The statistics provided to the finance minister are wrong. If this is implemented, our children could fall into this trap. The concessions on beer and wine should be removed before this budget is passed.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa reacted to the budget proposals via Twitter today. While raising concerns over some of the proposals, the former head of state questions the government's ability to implement most of the promises made through this fiscal document. In one of his Twitter messages, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa claims that only 358 out of 493 proposals in the 2016 budget were fulfilled. He also says that only 35%, 44% and 62% of the total allocated funds were utilized for the sectors of education, megapolis and telecommunication, respectively. The former president went on to say that as of December 2014, the total government debt amounted to 3.4 trillion rupees. However, it is expected that by the end of 2018, the government debt is to amount to more than 12 trillion rupees, an increase of 64% in 4 years. Former President Rajapaksa also tweeted that country's budget deficit in 2018 is expected to be 675 billion rupees, a significant increase from 591 billion rupees in 2014. He also notes that in order to achieve a per capita income of $5,000 as proposed in budget 2018, Sri Lanka's GDP must be more than $106.5 billion. He, however, highlights that the country's GDP in 2017 was $84.9 billion, meaning the economy must grow 25% to achieve the proposed target. He went on to question as to how can the target be achieved when the current growth rate stands at 4.5%. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa also highlights that following the reduction in global oil prices, the government would have saved more than $5 billion during the past 3 years. He notes that the government could therefore pay off most of the debts through these savings. Meanwhile, the National Chamber of Commerce commends many proposals included in the budget 2018, such as the focus on women empowerment, support given to small and medium enterprises as well as entrepreneurs. However, the Chamber also raised concerns regarding certain issues and emphasized the importance of establishing a budget proposal monitoring agency with immediate effect.
The National Chamber of Commerce held a post-budget media briefing today, focusing on the impact by the proposed budget on the country's economy and business.
New entrepreneurs has to be developed in this country. We have found that young people are not getting into entrepreneurship, right? As long as they get into the three-wheeler business, they must also get into more practical, more productive-oriented businesses. So that's one of the things that as National Chamber we are expecting. We are also concerned that how we should monitor the budget proposals given, whether we could have a team to monitor and help the government, to work with the government to see that these budget proposals are being met.
Meanwhile, Deputy President of the Chamber, Nandika Buddhipala, highlighted several issues related to national economic policies.
What we have observed in the recent past is certain amount of policy inconsistency in the revenue stream of the government. There again, the expectation of the business community was to have a consistent mid-term policy on government revenue streams rather than short-term ad hoc revenue policies such as debt payment levy imposed on the banking sector and levy on telecom towers. These, I think, 20 billion is expected from the debt payment levy. Another 15 billion is expected from the telecom towers. It would be challenging for the government to provide enabling environment to implement the said proposals. Now, when you look at the proposals, we know there are huge amount of proposals. Some of the proposals are getting repeated over a period of time. The most important thing is going to be how we are going to implement those.
Well, 31 individuals, including parliamentarian Prasanna Ranavira, who had been remanded over the protest organised by the joint opposition in Hambantota last month, were released on bail today.
The joint opposition held a protest in Hambantota on the 6th of October against the leasing of the Hambantota port and the Mattala airport to foreign corporations. 40 protesters were remanded for the violation of the restraining orders issued on the protest, among whom 9 were subsequently released on bail. The remaining 31 detainees, including parliamentarian Prasanna Ranavira, were produced before the Hambantota Magistrate Court this morning, and they were released on 2 sureties each of 500,000 rupees.
We have faith in the judicial system. The police put forward false accusations to mislead the judiciary and the public. They also requested the magistrate to bar us from protesting in this town in the future. We urge the government not to burden the people with their incompetence.
The freelance journalist who was assaulted during the protest by Assistant Superintendent of Police Tushara Dalwatta was also among the released detainees.
I request the Inspector General of Police to ensure that relevant legal action is taken. I have also filed a fundamental rights petition at the Supreme Court as I maintain that I have done nothing wrong.
South African High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Robina P. Mask, assures South Africa's utmost support towards the Sri Lankan government in achieving reconciliation. She made this comment upon visiting the governor of the Eastern Province, Rohitha Bogalagama, in Trincomalee yesterday.
South African High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Robina P. Marks, arrived in Trincomalee yesterday for a 2-day visit upon an invitation by the Governor of the Eastern Province, Rohitha Bogalagama. Her arrival focuses on sharing the South African experience in terms of achieving reconciliation.
We have many similarities with that of the South African experience and the initiatives they have taken towards bringing all communities together and also having very meaningful reconciliation effort. Some of the areas that I highlighted were in terms of the need for greater empowerment by the center of the regions in terms of their economic independence, where the resources and the benefit of that can be shared for the greater good of the people of the given provinces.
One of the things that I think is important for Sri Lanka to consider is the way in which we were able to deal with issues of group versus individual rights in such a way that no one feels that they are left behind or that they are excluded, that we've been able to achieve in South Africa. Many people regard us as a miracle. No one thought that we'd be able to come together and sit with our former oppressors and craft a vision for ourselves. If we can do it, I cannot see why Sri Lanka cannot, and we are behind you 100%. We are here to help you, we are here to support you.
Also in local stories, the annual commemoration of November Heroes Day by the Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna was held at the Vihara Mahadevi Open Air Theatre this evening. This is the 28th November Heroes Day commemoration conducted by the JVP to commemorate its founder, leader Rohana Vijayveera and others who laid down their lives for the party. JVP leader Anurakumara Dissanayake, the party's General Secretary Tilvin Silva and several other leaders addressed the gathering. Also in local stories, issuing a statement today, President's Council parliamentarian Vijayadasa Rajapaksa urged Speaker Karu Jayasuriya to annul the purported Constitutional Assembly, which was constituted on a resolution passed by the members of the Parliament on the basis of a bona fide error committed by the Parliament. The Council submitted the statement to the President as well as Prime Minister today at the Parliament. Former Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa says that the argument that the government has a mandate from 6.2 million is not only merely a hypothetical but also childish. He says that it is absurd to argue that the constitution shall be enacted to fulfill an aspiration of 6.2 million people who gave a mandate to the president in a country where 20 million citizens are living. Further on, he says that Article 76 of the Constitution categorically prohibits the creation of any institution or authority which could interfere, influence or intermeddle with the legislative process of the Parliament directly or indirectly. The former minister further says that sole and exclusive power and authority to enact laws are vested only in the Parliament and cannot be abdicated or alienated. While there are ample provisions and procedures provided in the Constitution for the enactment for a new Constitution, appointment of a Constitutional Assembly intentionally is in violation of the Constitution and has created a chaotic and anarchical situation in the country, leaving the people in the lurch and losing their confidence in the present democracy. The Council further states that the interim report proposes the division of the state which are adverse to the current Constitution. In the light of the above circumstances, I earnestly urge you to annul or declare that the purported Constitutional Assembly, which was constituted on the basis that it was a bona fide error committed by the Parliament. Accordingly, please declare that the Steering Committee and its reports are unconstitutional and null and void.
UPFA Minister Mahinda Amaravira states that decisions will be taken on SLFP MPs who use the party to promote another political party in the upcoming local government elections. Sevanagala Industrial and Commercial Workers Union states that Sevanagala Sugar Factory should not be returned to the previous owner due to the cancellation of the Underutilized Assets Act. Media reports have revealed that Minister Daya Gamage will be reinstated as the owner after the cancellation of the act. Uva Provincial Councillor Samantha Vidyaratna alleges that fraud and corruption continue to happen in the country despite the change of government. Ruins of an ancient building were discovered during the removal of sludge from the Munneshwaram tank, which is located near the historic Munneshwaram temple. Upon examining the ruins, an archaeologist said that they could date back to the Anuradhapura or Polonnaruwa era. A 14-year-old girl died when a motorcycle she was travelling in collided with a tipper truck in Veerakatiya yesterday. Her father also sustained injuries due to the accident. Hungama police stated that area residents had set the tipper on fire.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
On to business news now. Now, during his speech in Parliament a few days ago, Finance Minister Mangala Samaravira envisioned increasing the GDP growth by 6% by 2020. He revealed the government's economic plans through his maiden budget last Thursday. However, these figures are at odds with what State Minister of International Trade Sujiva Senasinghe holds for the GDP growth rate. Speaking at a panel discussion held during the 5th Asia Pacific Trade and Investment Week recently, the State Minister said the government plans to increase the GDP growth rate by 7.5% by 2020.
Sri Lanka is one of the countries which has duty-free access to US, Europe, and with the trade agreements with China and India, one of the few countries which has the market for all these countries. From the report, I could see that our GDP is about 2.5%. We hope to grow by about 7.5% by 2020. The East Out Doing Business ranking is about 110. So our target is to make it 70 by 2020. And this report is a good benchmark for us. We want to take a cue from this, and we want Sri Lanka to do better.
The State Minister also spoke about training a skilled women's workforce in a backdrop where the country would reap benefits from free trade agreements.
With the FTAs, we are concentrating on services, e-commerce, and women entrepreneurship and small companies as well. So these women will be trained and they'll be given skills, given machines, they'll be given soft loans so that they will cater to the export market that we expect in the industrial zones.
On to the stock market now. Shares fell for a third straight session today to its lowest close in nearly 6 weeks, weighed down by declines in telecom and banking stocks after the country targeted both cash-rich sectors in its 2018 budget to boost revenue. The Colombo Stock Index ended 0.63% weaker at 6,511.55, its lowest close since 4th of October. Well, we now have the daily market update with Umeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange.
The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,961.06 billion rupees. Today's foreign purchases were 1.11 billion rupees and foreign sales were 548.29 million rupees. And there were no crossings today.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
On to international news now. US President Donald Trump, who arrived in the Philippines this morning for the final leg of his five-nation Asia tour, says that he has a great relationship with Philippine counterpart Rodrigo Duterte. Trump made the claim today during bilateral discussions with Philippine President Duterte.
The Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit was inaugurated today in the Philippines and was attended by regional leaders and dialogue partners. US President Donald Trump, who called for a strong, independent Southeast Asia at the summit, also expressed his views on his relationship with Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte during bilateral discussions.
We've had a great relationship. This has been very successful. We have many meetings today with many other leaders. The ASEAN conference has been handled beautifully by the President and the Philippines.
Meanwhile, protests were staged in Manila today against Trump's visit to the Philippines.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news across the world.
A fire ravaged a 2,000-year-old mural and much of an archaeological site on the northern coast of Peru yesterday. The Texas church that became the site of a deadly mass shooting last week reopened yesterday as a memorial to the victims of the carnage that left 26 dead. At least 16 individuals drowned yesterday after a tourist boat capsized in India's southern state of Andhra Pradesh. According to reports, 38 individuals were on board, with many of them on their way to religious festival.
You are watching Sri Lanka's trusted news brand, Derana 24/7.
Moving on to sports now, President of Sri Lanka Cricket, Thilanga Sumathipala, says a head coach will be appointed for the national team after the tour of India. He further said that the board will be more than happy to rope Chandika Hathrusinghe in if he is available to fill up the position.
Well, we have shortlisted 3 international world-class coaches. Now that Hathrusinghe is also available, we are in a position to discuss with him as well. If Hathuru is available, he is one of the top coaches in the world. One can rely on handing over your national team. If he is available, we are quite happy to discuss with him as soon as we can. We will be finalizing and assigning the new coach to commence his work soon after the Indian tour. So most probably the new coach will commence after the second week of December. If you are expecting your national team to perform as an international world-class team, you need to have the support team also world-class. When you want to retain or recruit a world-class coach, you have to pay them the market price.
Now, aiming to end a sensational year as he began it, Swiss master Roger Federer delivered a straight sets win over American debutant Jack Sock yesterday in the opening round robin match of the ATP World Tour Finals. Meanwhile, in another opening round match, Alexander Zverev marked his ATP Finals debut, winning the match over Marin Cilic 6-4, 3-6, 6-4.
Coming off the Paris Masters, the biggest win of his career a week ago, Jack Sock gave a thorough workout to Swiss maestro Roger Federer throughout the match. Despite Sock's hard work, Federer barely made mistakes as he played some stunning backhands to win the match 6-4, 7-6 at the O2 Arena. Meanwhile, in another opening match, Alexander Zverev appeared to be fading as he lost the second set to a tough fight delivered by opponent Marin Cilic. Zverev, however, surged back in style, sealing victory over Cilic 6-4, 3-6, 6-4.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Well, Sadhini Upeka is at the Derana Weather Centre with your forecast for the next 24 hours.
Good
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. This is your forecast first for the next 24 hours. Tomorrow's temperatures will average at around 28 degrees Celsius in coastal areas, maxing out at 32 degrees in the east. Cool temperatures in the low 20s will prevail in the central hills. Widespread showers or thunder showers can be expected in the western half of the island, while fair weather is possible elsewhere. That's it from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your City by City forecast.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. I'm Mahesh Johnny. First at 9 will return tomorrow at the same time. Be sure to join us then. But before we go, we'd like to take you to the Kin Wild Wildlife Art Exhibition organised by the Young Zoologist Association of Sri Lanka. The exhibition, which featured hundreds of stunning wildlife paintings, was worked off recently at the Lionel Wendt Art Gallery in Colombo. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.